Maybe you saw it in your news yesterday in the game. Little spoiler. We're going to be talking about the extremely cool new Dead by Daylight stats tracker that's coming up. We're going to be able to look at your in-game stats and progress as you play, which is really neat.
Yes, I cannot wait to see how many times I've died. After that, well, obviously, wouldn't be a Dead by Daylight live stream without having some Twitch drops. And we're going to have 3 amazing Twitch drops for players to go ahead and redeem on Twitch. So make sure you're looking at the Twitch chat or looking at the QR code to go ahead and make sure you're linking your behavior account so that you're not missing it. It starts today up until June 10th, but maybe, Eric, you want to tell us what we're going to get?
I do, although I don't know that it matches what's in the image. So we have 3 drops for you, but actually the first drop is a combo. You're going to get blood points as well as a smiling clown badge. Sorry, I don't. What I have written down versus what's in that image are not the same thing. So we're going to learn together what we get.
You'll be able to play.
Smiling clown badge.
You'll be able to play Springtrap today.
Bundled together for watching 1 hour. A clown den banner for watching 3 hours, and a pin the tail on the Maurice charm for anyone.
Pin the tail on the Maurice charm.
6 hours of watch time. Oh, Maurice, how I miss thee.
I miss him. I have to do my little head pats at the map.
I know. I hope he returns to us soon. Before we dive in, one last thing we did want to mention if you've been around for a few weeks. We're running a charity program at the moment, which I've been so psyched about.
Bless their souls. Bless their souls.
Release, and it has already, well, it's finished, but it has over $200,000.
Oh my God.
And that's before the multiplier that we're still calculating right now. So thank you to everyone who contributed to that charity. It's going to a really great cause, the Saint Justine Foundation here in Montreal, to help kids and their moms. So thank you, thank you. We'll announce the final number when we have it from the numbers people, but it is well over $200,000, so crazy.
That's a lot of money.
Okay, without further ado, let's talk about Five Nights at Freddy's, playing a Springtrap.
Oh, they gonna start it? They gonna start it with that? They gonna start it with that? Is that his music? Is that his music? Is that his music? They're like doing a Homelander thing with it. It's like some creepy music, but then it like goes into like creepiness. Like, you know how Homelander has the superhero sound effect or the superhero music, but then it like goes distorted. This is like the Carnival music, but it's going distorted with William Afton. Okay, they wind in a little. Damn. Oh shit.
We're ready.
Sorry.
We're live.
I didn't mean
we told
I
you
didn't mean
it's
for it to be
live, you
low.
didn't believe us. Okay, so hi Jay.
Hi.
So from the time that we announced that Five Nights at Freddy's was coming to Dead by Daylight, obviously the excitement has been off the charts for Five Nights at Freddy's fans, for DBD fans, for myself, maybe you, and you know, people are speculating, who's the killer going to be? Are we going to get a map, et cetera, et cetera? We answered those things in a high-level way at PAX a few weeks ago. Indeed, we will have a killer, Springtrap. For the first time ever, you get to play as Springtrap instead of be terrorized by Springtrap. Well, if you're a survivor, you'll still be terrorized. So. And also, we'll be bringing a new map. So Jay has come here to join us. And if you have watched streams before, you would know Jay from such hits as Chucky and also Dracula. Jay is the killer designer on both of those, as well as Springtrap. So how are you doing?
Y'all, was that
I'm doing great.
was that Springtrap's chase music? Because I just uploaded that on YouTube.
Jay. So let's get into it. So as I mentioned, you worked on some pretty iconic licenses already. So when you were assigned Five Nights at Freddy's, what was it like when you first started working on that chapter?
It was really interesting. I didn't have a lot of experience with it. Excuse me, my throats are a little dry today. I was obviously aware of it. I mean, everybody is. It's become so iconic in such a short period of time. But I'm going to be honest, I didn't really realize how kind of deep the lore and the story went before I started kind of looking into this chapter. So it's been cool, and like the story is way more horrifying than I ever thought it would be, to be honest.
Oh yes, despite how cute it is, very horrifying. And actually, I think that's a very initial common ground DBD fans and FNAF fans will have. Deep lore on both games, much more than you'd expect. And once you dig in, it's really cool stuff, and it goes, like you said, it goes places.
Yeah.
So I guess the way you mentioned it, sounds like you had to do a lot of research to get up to speed.
Yeah, for sure. You know, one of my favorite things about doing licenses like this is they give me an excuse, I guess, a reason to become like a real big nerd about one specific franchise or IP. And that's always amazing. You know, Chucky, I got to watch all the movies, and Dracula, we played the games and watched stuff. So this one, I did the same thing. I jumped in. My main thing was YouTube and Twitch, watching streams. I watched 60 to 70 hours of content of some of the more popular streamers, I guess we can say, all through all the games, including the VR stuff and things. You know, not just to see the games and how they played, but also players, how they react, the community, how they react, getting the inspiration for the experience of FNAF, Five Nights at Freddy's, excuse me.
Yeah, and I think that's a really special thing. You didn't just tackle it from a mechanics point of view. You wanted to understand the community, you wanted to understand the players, make them feel as welcome in DBD as possible. Dead by Daylight, sorry. No, we're gonna be doing this a lot. It's just quicker to use acronyms. So I think that's a great touch. So any surprises you found along the way as you were doing that?
Yeah, I mean, this won't be a surprise to most people, but it was to me, was, like I said, just how passionate the community is. They're, like you said, it's very similar to DBD in that respect of like very passionate fans and very passionate community. People who kind of, they watch the trailers and they watch gameplay and they pixel peep.
Oh, yeah.
And they kind of start stringing things together, and I imagine there's at least a few Five Nights fans with like the boards with pictures and the string all over them.
Yes, which Jay, you're kind of famous for with Dracula. Hand drew some meme-worthy art, so maybe we'll have some more. But yeah, they're probably picking apart our outfits as we speak. Like, what does it mean? I just wanted people to see my cool new mint-colored shoes. That's all.
I just wanted people to see. I don't know if I can show it. My daughter bought me Freddy Fazbear socks for Christmas.
Got Freddy on the feet. Likewise, my son gave me his Freddy plush for good luck today. So we are loving it over here. So before we jump into the
posted it, but they didn't post it, so I'm not going to look at it yet.
How you started to approach the design of Springtrap?
Yeah, it was a really interesting one because obviously, if you know both games, gameplay-wise, they're pretty diametrically opposed.
If the audio needs to go out, let me know. Y'all can see I'm trying to turn it up.
Particularly the battery, and try not to get killed. Whereas DBD is all about moving around, doing the gens. If you sit still, you're gonna get yourself killed.
Not a good strategy.
It's not a great idea. So it really became about kind of nailing down what the quintessential Five Nights at Freddy's experience is. Things like the security office, the battery power, all those amazing jump scares, and just kind of figuring out how to adapt that into the context of DBD.
Perfect. So with that transition, let's get into Springtrap specifically and his gameplay.
Yeah. So one of the goals for Springtrap was to figure out how to lean into those jump scares, which are kind of the thing about the Five Nights at Freddy's games, right? Without making him just a straight up stealth killer, which was something we wanted to avoid. So I had this idea of—
He's not a stealth killer. He's not a stealth killer, chat. He's not stealth.
We focus Springtrap kind of as a grab-based killer, because we have grabs in DBD.
Oh my god. Oh my fucking god.
Oh my god. It's right there. So we just kind of leaned into that and gave him more of those opportunities.
There he is right there.
He's doing the fucking, he's doing the yellow rabbit thing from FNAF movie.
Doing a little bit of a grab.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we gave him a pretty unique projectile, which is really cool. So Springtrap has 2 weapons. I get to finally announce. I know the community have been talking about it. So he has a large pizza knife as his main weapon.
Pizza knife.
And a heavy fire axe as his power.
So let's talk about the axe. How do you use the axe? How's it different from projectiles that other characters in Dead by Daylight use?
Yeah, so it's a very unique. It's not going to play like any other projectile killer that you've tried before. We wanted to do something a little bit interesting with it. So if you throw the axe and it hits something in the environment, whether it's a missed shot or it's deliberate, it creates an AoE that lasts about 15 seconds. And if a survivor walks through it, you get killer instinct on them for a short period of time. If you hit a survivor with it, kind of gets lodged in their back while you're chasing.
Kind of have an axe lodged in your back.
Just
No
a little
big
bit.
deal.
So they can remove it manually, or they can do it quicker in co-op with another survivor. As Springtrap, you can also retrieve it yourself if you get in close. You can skip kind of the steps of downing the survivor and picking them up. You get in close to a survivor that has the axe embedded in them. You click the button, you grab the axe and the survivor at the same time. You get a cool little jump scare, and then you're carrying them on your shoulder. A couple of little notes. One of them is while you have your projectile available, you move at 4.4
Two evil
meters per
eyes.
second. There he is.
Little glimpse.
Is he drooling? Is he fucking
But
drooling?
once you've thrown the axe, you actually move at 4.6 meters per second. It's something that we've never really done base kit for a killer. It makes for some really interesting tactical choices, meaning that you have to recall the axe manually. It never comes back to you automatically unless you throw it out of the map, because you can make a mistake. But yeah, as long as it's in the environment or in a survivor or whatever it is, you have to manually recall it.
So it lightens his load a little bit, makes him a bit faster.
Exactly.
Perfect. So that brings us to another unique part of his gameplay, and I think super iconic to Five Nights at Freddy's, the security office. So let's get into that.
Yeah. So it was really important for us to give the killer and the survivor a really kind of interesting shared experience in that space, which allowed us to also lean into the jump scares. And some of the ways we came up with was to introduce the security office, which is...
I'm gonna lose it if I hear phone guy,
because
because that means we're gonna hear Scott's voice.
But it acts as kind of a transitionary space. So we have 7 doors that appear randomly around the map at chest spawns. And these can be used by survivors or killers to teleport around the map.
Yeah, there be a door.
There it is. And survivors can also use them for surveillance. So as a survivor, you interact with the door. It brings up the camera view.
Bro is missing
You'll get
the
kind
entire point of
iconic
show and
map
tell.
view in the bottom right of all the different cameras. On the bottom left, you'll see your battery power. which we'll talk about in a
Glyph, you're
second.
funny as hell.
You can see what's going on in the other doors. You can switch between doors. If you see something that, if it looks safe on the other end, you press the button. Your character goes into the security office, and then it's kind of like a hands-off, almost like a theme park experience where you see this first-person view going through the office, which is really cool.
And one thing you mentioned, again, just in case we have new folks playing, regardless of what map you're playing on, this functionality, the security room will be there as long as Springtrap is the killer in the match.
Yeah, exactly. And as a survivor, if you happen to see Springtrap through a camera, if you train your camera on him for a few seconds, he'll be revealed for a little bit for the whole survivor team.
And what about if, like, what if Springtrap goes in at the same time as a survivor goes in at a different door and they meet?
Yeah, so since they can both use the doors in the security office, we wanted to make sure that there was an opportunity for that interaction. So if a survivor is moving through that space from one door to the other, and Springtrap, excuse me, chooses one of those 2 doors, whether the one they're coming from or the one they're going to, he'll interrupt them in the security office for a fun little surprise.
Ooh. Awesome. I love all the little touches that the team has planted in there like that. I think the fans are really going to love it, including this. You mentioned the battery. Managing the battery is part of this as well. So how's that work in DBD?
Yeah, so survivors share a universal battery. It's shared amongst all of them.
Oh,
it drains a little
nah.
bit, kind of ticks down per second while you're using the cameras. We didn't want players...
Are they going to show gameplay? Gameplay is basically going to be...
and just sitting
If
there
they
and
don't
tell
show
all their
gameplay
friends.
during the
So
stream,
it
we're going to
drains a
see it
little
during the
bit. So
PTB,
you
which
tell
will happen
people
directly
to
after the
teleport
stream, and I'm going to be
the
streaming the
map, take
PTB,
yourself a
so don't even
photo
worry
of
about it.
something, one shot, and then you have to kind of manage that battery as a team. It slowly recharges on its own over time, but you have to kind of manage when and where you're using it. If the battery does run out, the security system, which is kind of the doors, the cameras, the office, goes into shutdown mode for 45 seconds. But Springtrap is not affected by the battery. So if the survivors have kind of overplayed their hand and they shut the security office down, they've kind of given up their one bit of power in this chapter, and Springtrap can still use the doors and bounce around and do whatever it wants.
Dangerous. Fantastic. But what about disabling the doors?
Yes.
Yes.
So to go back to the axe, if the killer hits either a camera or a door, the whole thing, with their axe, that door and the camera becomes unavailable to survivors. They can't use it to teleport away, they can't teleport to that door, and they can't see through the camera that's been disabled.
Got it.
When the killer retrieves it, that effect lingers a little bit. It becomes a really cool way of like, I need to scope this area out, but I don't want to be revealed or seen. You can disable the door, move around, use it to fake the survivors out.
Got it. But it's not permanent. The door can be used again after the axe has been retrieved. Cool.
Unless it's in shutdown, which means the survivors can't use it anyway.
Right. Cool. Okay. So speaking about moving around the map, which it sounds like we have a new exciting way to do that. One of the coolest things about the chapter, in fact, is the map. Freddy Fazbear's Pizza is now a new map, a new level within Dead by Daylight.
Oh my God.
For DBD fans, specifically in the
so
Wizard
peak.
Isle realm. So what can you tell us about the map?
Yeah, so the art team and the level design team, much like me, they did a ton of research, and like I don't say this just because we're doing the stream here, but it's becoming one of my favorite maps. I love it so much. In the same way that we worked hard at kind of integrating a lot of opportunities for jump scares into the killer gameplay, their team really wanted to make sure that they did the same when it comes to things like Easter eggs and scares around the map. So it really pays off if you're kind of an exploratory player a little bit.
Amazing. So are there some areas that you want to shout out that Five Nights at Freddy's fans might recognize?
Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot. You'll see a lot of small references and stuff, but obviously we've recreated a lot of kind of the iconic areas from the game. But we're also letting you exit the pizzeria to explore the outside a little bit, which is really cool. And we wanted to kind of add a little bit more space to allow for more dynamic chases and whatnot.
Yeah.
Show us the map. Guys, if they don't show you the map, I'll show you the map. Don't worry about it.
The full animatronic band on stage is very cool. And we have the arcade, which is, it's all very kind of
Dude,
decade.
oh my God, look at it. It's so cool.
And, we have areas like the kitchen and even
Guys, are we allowed to go into the map on a custom alone, like without any players? Because I want to walk around this map.
Kind of feel like
Is that an option?
I guess a formerly working pizzeria. And, of course, since it's Dead by Daylight, the entity's weird pustules and deformations are everywhere to remind you exactly of where you still are and
You're
where you're
making a
stuck.
judgment call on those pustules there.
You can do that?
But
How do you do it, Psionic?
Five Nights at Freddy's
How do you do
fan,
it?
I think you're really going to love the map. They've done a lot of really cool work.
Yeah, it's
Custom
super
game?
fun. And it looks really good.
We're
too.
gonna explore the map. Don't you worry about it. We're gonna explore it.
But also with Springtrap wandering around, it's like a terror. And I think for Five Nights at Freddy's fans, like, whoop, you're going to be in familiar territory.
Yeah.
There. So one other nice thing that we did mention on the PAX broadcast, but I do want to mention it again, we're going to have a separate queue for this map specifically, which means you want to go to the game and you just want to check out the map. Normally, in the past, you'd be in the general rotation of maps and all that. Now you can go straight in just to the pizzeria without having to hope that you get there. So it's going to be its own queue when you join the game.
Yeah, and that's a feature that's going forward with any chapter with a new map.
Perfect.
They'll have a unique queue for that new map, which is really cool.
Perfect. Okay, how about some last tips for survivors and for killer players?
Yeah, so for the killer, as Springtrap, get used to the arc of the projectile.
Arc.
As I said, it's super unique compared to other projectile killers. We've done something that really allows you to kind of pull off some pretty gnarly trick shots. We've seen some really interesting ones on our internal playtest. It's been super fun. So test that out, get used to it, and take advantage of the jump scares.
Oh yeah.
Especially if you're playing with your friends, hearing them shout in your ear is always a great time. But for survivors, take advantage of the cameras and the doors. It may seem a little unsafe because you can be interrupted or whatever, but they're really valuable tools if you get used to them and you use it to reveal the killer and kind of scoping out the area. You'll get more of an advantage out of them than I think you realize at first.
Heck yeah.
But yeah.
Well, Jay, thank you so much, as
Thank you.
always, for joining us on the couch with your wonderful work and the fun stuff that you've planted in there. Soon enough, people will get to play around with it. I know you're
Yeah.
going to be glued to your
So this is
Twitch
the last thing to
screen,
talk about
seeing
Five Nights at
people,
Freddy's.
play it, test it out.
But
Thank
that's
you so
okay,
much for
'cause the
joining
PTB's
us.
coming.
The show must roll on. So next, we're going to